Welcome everybody. How you doing today? Hopefully your Monday has been well. Hopefully you've had a good weekend. Today we are going to talk about today's skyrocketing stock market, and Moderna led the way. Phew. Man, oh man, as you can see in the description, Moderna's test 94.5. Phew. I mean, these tests coming out of these companies developing this the vaccine has been something serious. So with that test coming out, man, the stocks literally rode that wave all the way up, for real. And as well, the same thing happened to Pfizer. When Pfizer announced their testing results, it also sent the stock market up. As we can see on our TD Ameritrade here, uh the Dow was up 1.6%, the S&P was up 1.16%, and the Nasdaq was up at 0.8%. And a lot of the stocks that went up today, literally, there was a lot of stocks up across the board. Some of the big movers today, a lot of the beat down stocks that deals with the pandemic have shot up or starting to go up because of the good news coming out of these companies that are developing these vaccines. So it's not a surprise that these stocks are starting to take off, with the hope that early spring they can start getting people to take the vaccine, and hopefully by the end of year you'll have the majority of the people vaccinated. With that being said, there are a lot of companies that are looking to already start to move forward. The earnings reports have been solid from a lot of companies across the board, but with that too also has been the fact that there's been a lot of bankruptcies and closures due to the fact that a lot of these small companies can't really make it without assistance from the government. Hence why you hear still a lot of people in analysis still talking about the stimulus bill or some form of a stimulus bill to help small businesses, because even though you might have the stock market doing well and the hope of these vaccines will be in play, some of these small businesses will not be able to last long still until they get some type of assistance. So with that being said, like Carnival Cruise Lines was a mover today, American Airlines was a move today, GE was a mover today. Phew. Man, there were quite a bit of stocks that were moving today, and we're gonna check the sectors and industries as soon as I can get it up here real quick for y'all. But yeah, energy, when it comes to the S&P, man, energy was out there. Energy was definitely doing its thing today. So, and I keep saying this, energy and financials, utilities are some of the stocks that I look at real closely. And with the fact that these vaccines are actually coming out higher grade per se than what the doctors were saying that they needed. Like, I think I've seen where they were talking about as long as the vaccine was like 50 or 60% efficient, but they're coming out as 90, 94 during their phase 3 trials. Is definitely promising. Now, will the public trust it is a whole different ball game. So, and as you can see with that news, we are going to look right at Moderna stock after they announced that their result today, and man, they shot up almost shot up 9.58% today. Yeesh. Um, a lot of these companies that are gonna be benefiting from the move. Like I said, you have even some of the movie theaters are starting to show growth in the stocks. Like I said, just the hope of being able to have people go back out. Obviously, come December when it's cold, nobody's going to be outside when it's cold. You know, dining in won't be happening because of the fact that the pandemic has been on a spike. So you have cold season, the cold and the spike. Eat, especially you won't be able to go out and eat. You have a lot of states right now that have been a lot of states have been implementing lockdowns here and there, depending on where you are, putting measures in place to try to reduce these spikes. So it's going to be interesting come winter. At least that. Winter is going to be a very interesting this year. Oh, and another thing as well. DoorDash filed for their IPO that I saw, and Airbnb, I'm waiting to see when they drop their IPO. Now, the interesting part about this, Airbnb announced their IPO, what was it, like a few months ago, and they still haven't dropped it. Now, I think I said this in a few videos ago, but if Airbnb would have dropped their IPO earlier in the year, before there was significant results from these tests, I think Airbnb would have lost some serious money in the stock market to start out with, if you ask me, in my personal opinion. But now if their IPO drops, let's say at the end of December, you know, and then just roll on into the year knowing that Moderna and Pfizer have already had good results from their testing, Airbnb might have a chance for their stock to actually even climb even higher, because if it happens where the distribution can happen, where they're talking, like I said, they're talking about spring, some of the critical workers will be getting it earlier. But if the vaccine starts rolling out, Airbnb definitely has a shot to actually just start taking off with that stock. And me personally, I'm looking forward to that. Is one of the IPOs I'm looking for it to drop. DoorDash, um, DoorDash is an interesting one because I'm surprised DoorDash didn't drop earlier, since when we had our closings, the closings and stuff, and when there was businesses that were critical, I think DoorDash would have done real well. It's like Uber Eats. Meanwhile, there was a shutdown because you couldn't go anywhere. So if you wanted food, you had to either order out or go through a drive-through or something. Have somebody do a delivery, which I think DoorDash would have made some significant amount of money during that time. But it's interesting to see when they actually come on board as Dash in the I believe it's Dash in the New York Stock Exchange here coming soon. So DoorDash and definitely Airbnb are two stocks that I'm looking forward to once they do drop. Now, today we're gonna look at also to the positions that I want to add. The stocks has definitely the growth has definitely been good in my portfolio, as you can see. But I am definitely looking to grow. Just give you guys a snapshot, because like I said, I'm doing these videos so you guys can see like what I'm doing per se. And one stock that I am particularly looking at is this right here, Palantir. Um, when Palantir first dropped, everybody was kind of worried about like, how was Palantir gonna make money. I did my own research into Palantir, but one thing I will say, those government contracts aren't always guaranteed. But Palantir's been in the government doing a lot of work for the government for quite a bit. So with the software that they use, like I said, I still don't understand it fully, but I understand it enough that investing in Palantir right now would definitely be a good idea, in my opinion. Even if it is just to have a small position. Me personally, I'm gonna have a nice little chunk when it comes to being in Palantir, because of what they do and how the government relies on their software for a lot of things. And they're also using other means of, especially when you have, I believe they've been getting contracts left and right. And in their last earnings report, there were certain contracts, of course, that didn't figure in, but in their Q4 earnings reports with the contracts they picked up, it'll be pretty interesting. So they're also going to be helping with the contact tracing and helping businesses out with their software. So I think Palantir has a lot of room to grow. And mind you, I got into Palantir, I believe, at $11 and change. And at one point, Palantir was like $9, and I added my position little bit by little bit. But I tend to put a nice little significant position into Palantir, and just to see what they do down the line. At least, I think within the next 5 years, I mean, this company has a chance to blow the doors off, especially with the contracts that they've been getting. So if you want to, I mean, I always say, man, people do your homework. Like I said, I like to look at certain stocks here and there, and like I said, I'm more of a long-term dividend investor per se, but there's some growth stocks here and there that I would be looking forward to. And definitely Palantir is one of them. And I hope in the long run they continue to grow. They continue to uh, have good earnings and keep getting contracts. So their first, as you guys, their earnings report, they actually beat their earnings report. So let me see if I can. And just here, as you can see, the analysis, Palantir hasn't been around too long yet, but you know, as you can see here already, they have already started to, positions have already been added by ARC Next Generation, and the Soros Fund, George Soros, 18.5 million shares in the third quarter. So, Palantir is I definitely want to get on the gravy train with Palantir before it just straight runs off the tracks. So, but that's all it is for today for the financial corner. I just wanted to, talk about, like, once again, Moderna, 94.5% on their tests, and the stock market is just going up. Now, I don't know how long this is going to keep going, because eventually there's going to be a pull down. I don't see it just keep, I mean, this is a good start to the week, but there's got to be a pull down somewhere. Somewhere. So, and usually I like to buy in the dips. So, I mean, if the bulls take charge and the stock market keeps going up, is one thing. But me personally, I'm just waiting for a pull down, because usually stocks don't usually get this high and then keep going up. Because remember now, the elephant in the room, I will always say the elephant in the room right now is the jobs report. There is still millions of people out of a job, and there's a lot of executive orders that are going to be up by December 31st. Mainly the eviction one. That's the one that I'm looking at, because you have a lot of people out of a job that can't get a job. And then now you have people that are being evicted out of their homes, out of rental spaces. So, now what? And then on top of that, you have businesses that are now going to be changing their models from office work to staying home, doing work from home. So infrastructure business wise has been changing drastically. A lot of analysis have been talking about how the business world have changed because of this pandemic. Like stuff that you like this you'd see within like a 5 or 10 years to change around or something like that. You've seen it done just like that within a year. Technology has literally made businesses have to, convert, do better. um, they've had to adapt to the situations because of the pandemic. And now with people being able to work remotely, you're going to have a lot of offices and buildings. And I've said this last time, there's going to be some empty office spaces and empty buildings. Like, what are you going to do with them? Because companies, I've said this before, they're going to save money on rent. They're going to save money on utilities. So, which that money could be put back into their R&D or whatever they decide to do with it. But you're just going to have a number of these buildings over the US are probably going to be vacant and empty. You're not going to see a lot of people working from the office as much anymore. And if they are, that space isn't going to be as big as it used to be. So appreciate everybody coming through. Make sure you hit that like, hit the subscribe button. Much love. Y'all have a good Monday. Y'all stay blessed. We'll catch you again for another Financial Corner.